Hello friends, in the last lecture we have discussed that how to create the HTML form using HTML, and we have created a database at the backend called a test, and in that test we have created a table named as user. And in the last lecture we have also created that registration form, and we have done something like this. If we have to enter the data, and if we click add button, then it is showing connected and also data is added successfully. And we have left our task for view result option, that is creation of index.php. Okay, so in this lecture we are going to work on that index.php so that our data can be displayed over a web page uh, in an uh, easy way. So this was our last projects file, this config.php, add.html and insert.php. So for our this tutorial, this lecture, we are going to create our next file for the fetching the data, and we call it as index.php. Okay. So before starting the coding, what I'm going to do, we have to understand what this index.php is doing. So this index.php is fetching the data from the database table, that is that our table name is user. So we'll need a database connectivity here, and then after fetching that data into a temporary buffer, that temporary buffer we'll call it as result set. We'll display that data over the HTML page. So starting with PHP, what I am going to do, we need first we need the database connectivity. So we have already created the file for that, so I am going to simply include that file using include once, and the file name was config.php. okay, then we am going to create a temporary buffer called as result, and using the MySQL I underscore query execution command, that MySQL underscore query, and we have discussed for which connection string this is going to work. So that is MySQL I, and which query which I want to execute, we want to fetch the data, so we need a select query for that, that is select star means all from our table name, that is users, and I want to order them by say ID. Okay, and this is should be in descending mode, that is whatever data we are going to fetch, it should be in descending order of ID. Okay, and I put that inside this result set. Okay, so for that, after that I'm going to create that HTML on my HTML page on which I'm going to display that, and write the general configurations for that, and I can name it as home page now. Okay, so inside that home page I created a body, and this page is also going to contain a link that is for insert, that is for I'm going to create suppose new data, so I link it to add.html page. That add.html page is our registration form add.html, and I name it as add new data. Okay, and put number of line breaks here so that I can go into the next part. Now I need the fetch data which is in the result set to be displayed inside a proper format, and that format I want it as a table format. So I'm going to create a table structure with a width, say it is I took at 80% of the screen. Okay, and its border I'm taking as 0, so that is no border. Okay, now I'm going to create a table tr tag, that is table row tag, and I want the I want to put the column names inside this tr tag. So I want to show it with the different colors, so I said tr bg color equal to say some color, and I can also put some hash codes. So I put it for gray color, that is 6 times C. Okay, so that it can be identified differently. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to create some columns inside that. So first column, I'm calling it as, say, name of the user, and I'm going to copy that data to shorten the time. Name, age, email, and the last column I want to show some data for the updation purpose. So name, I call it as age, third field which I call it as email, and fourth option which I'm going to create it for later on, and I name it as update field. Okay, and I close that table row. So after this table row is closed, what I need to do, I've created the table, and I've decided the columns for that. Now to fetch the data of this name, age and email name, age and email, the data which is inside the result, I have to fetch the data from that result set and display it inside our table. So for that I need again a PHP codec for that. So this data, to fetch that data, I write a command, that is while res is a variable, this is which is going to fetch the data from the array or result set, that is MySQL I underscore fetch underscore array. Okay, the array which contains the data is called result, which we have created here. So result is an array that contains the data set. So I'm going to fetch this data and execute this command while it contains any data. Okay, so while this, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a runtime table row. If there is data, then create a table row, and after that table row, this table row contains the column, that is td, and this column td, this table data contains what, the value of res, whatever the res was, that res first the data from res is name column, that is name dot the td is closed, the table data is closed. So sorry, the close is what, close that, we close, and then put a semicolon here. I'm going to copy that for the remaining fields, that is name, age, email. Okay, and for the update field that I have created here, for that I'm going to create a new line of code, that is for this part echo td, and create a href, that is hyperlink, that goes for the edit part or new page, that is edit.php. Okay, and this edit.php will be based on the id. So I'm going to take that id equals to $res id, because this res fetched all the data, so id is one of the field of it, id, and then this field is closed, and I name it as edit, and I close that hyperlink. Okay, along with it I also create one one anchor tag or hyperlink, that is a href equals to, sorry, equals to go for the deletion page. So I want to make one option more here, that is delete dot php. Okay, and this delete dot php will also be on the basis of what, id. So whatever the id is, I'm going to fetch the data on the basis of this id. So res and take the data id, res id, and this is closed too. And when somebody clicks on it, so on click equals backslash double quotes return confirm, put a confirm tag, confirm box, sorry, that is are you sure you want to delete the data? Are you sure you want to delete? Okay, so that inside this confirm I put this, are you sure you want to delete? If it is whatever it is, its value is, it is dependent on the JavaScript code, and then double quotes, close it, and then name it as delete. Okay, and this a tag is also closed, and after that this td will be closed. Okay, so this is my index.php page works, how my index.php page works. So I simply save it and re-execute this command, and if I want to say click view result, so okay, it is saying some error on line number 30 of my code. Line number 30 is this. I've made some minor mistake of column of, so for ease of purpose I make it on second line, and on this I a href td a href equals to double quotes edit dot php id equals res res, sorry, I made a mistake here, res of id, and then edit a, and this again, these I do not need to put the brackets braces here, sorry, the colons, and this return confirm, confirm, are you want to delete? Yes, and double quotes is closed, delete atd. Okay, this is done. So refresh this page. So I fetch my data, that is this. Okay, and in this code, in this page, I have also created one hyperlink inside that is for add.html. So what this add.html do? When I click that add.html, it takes me to this, and if I said abcdef, age is say 31, email is say abcdef at the rate gmail.com, then it will, if I click that, it will say data added successfully, and if I click view result, then it is showing the data which is recently being added. Okay, abcdef, and this is inside the update part which I have created further. This is the column which I have created for updation, and this is the code which I have put inside the updation part, that is for edit.php. I have written the code for edit, and this is for delete.php. PHP, I have written the code for delete. Okay, so this is how this looks. So our next task will be to delete that data. This part is still not we have created till now, but if we take a look at this is now taking delete.php, and it is also taking this id. This is because of this line of code, this, that href equal to delete.php id equal to this. So this is because we are fetching that data and passing it to the another page, that's why it is showing on uh, the address bar for the further processing. So we'll either we have to update the data, that is edit the data, or delete the data. It will be done on the basis of their inside primary key which we have maintained in during that. So I refresh that data, and this is the id. So I'm fetching that data according to their id. So the last id is abcdef, and that's why it is showing abcdef, and it is in the ordered by id and is in the descending order. So this is how our index.php page works. that fetches the data from the database and displays it over the HTML page. Okay, so in the next lecture we'll work on this delete part, and then later on we'll also work on that edit part, so that our crude application will be fully functional. So that's it for this lecture, and if you have any query then you may ask in our comment section. Thank you so much.